News 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. For 30 years, GTT, which is 80% owned by US-based Atlantic Telenetworks Inc., pushed against the liberalization of the telecoms industry, while it practiced predatory pricing that stymied the development of call centers and emerging industries. For decades as well, it failed to honor its license obligations to provide quality international services across the nation. During that time, it only appeared consumed by one objective: collect billions of dollars in profits from AT&I shareholders, even if that came at the expense of stifling the development of the nation's telecommunications sector. On June 1990, AT&I had signed an agreement with the government of Guyana, which allowed the company to have the exclusive right over the provision of international voice and data, as then defined in 1990. The former administration, APNU-AFC faction, had promised that it would bring an end to the monopoly, but it claimed that this was just not possible given the 1990 agreement, with the PPP renewed and other incentives GTT was asking for in exchange. In response to the interest of the local authorities in liberalizing the sector, AT&I had expressed worry over the years to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission that it would possibly lose millions in revenue if Guyana secures its freedom. Meanwhile, the government of Guyana is seeking to tap into Qatar's oil money to expand its housing development projects. President Irfan Ali recently announced that he engaged with the Emir of the oil-rich country, His Royal Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, earlier this week, where he expressed Guyana's interest in accessing resources from the Qatar Fund for Development, or the QFFD. The QFFD is a public development institution under the government of Qatar that provides external aid for projects that address issues such as education, health, and economic development, while promoting sustainability. The fund sees a large amount of the nation's oil money being plugged in to provide aid to countries all across the world. In other news, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Egil expressed that reopening the airport will indeed result in an economic growth shift for the entire country as it continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic. The reopening of the CJIA to commercial operations would see passenger arrivals double over the next month. Several carriers, including Caribbean, American, and Copa Airlines, have applied and have been approved to resume commercial flight operations. And moving on, before the end of 2020, the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI, has categorically stated that Guyana and other nations which subscribe to its standards must disclose the identities of the real owners, also known as beneficial owners, of the companies, which have obtained rights to extract oil, gas, and minerals. Once the PPPC government honors this requirement, the nation would no longer be in the dark about all the individuals who were able to pocket millions of dollars in profits following the suspicious award of the Kanji block to industry unknowns. Let's tell you now that Parika yesterday suffered flooding as the spring tide caused water from the river to seep onto roads, displacing several vendors and other business people, with water inundating the central traffic junction area. We were told that persons living on the Parika beach area near the Stelling saw their homes flooded. The highest tide was expected today around 4:30 p.m. and 5 p.m., reaching a height of 3 hours. That should be 3.36 meters. The government expects the high tides to last until October 19th. An investigation has been launched into the exchange of slaps between a police officer and a civilian in Camberville housing scheme on Wednesday. It is understood that two police officers were on motorcycles patrolling and had stopped the man and conducted a search on his vehicle but found nothing. However, the police officers proceeded to follow the man into Camberville housing scheme, where they stopped the car again and told the man to get out of the vehicle. Based on a video seen, the police officers were engaged in a verbal exchange with the man. The man, flustered while walking away, shoved the police and asked not to be touched. The police officer then slapped the man to his face. The man walked towards another car a short distance away while the police officer armed himself with his gun. After a verbal exchange, a civilian intervention, the man eventually made his way close to the police officer and slapped him. Divisional Commander Simon McBean, who stated that he is aware of the incident and that an investigation into the matter has been launched. And now let's tell you that the Ministry of Health's daily dashboard update indicates that 38 new COVID-19 cases were recorded today, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 3,710. According to the dashboard, 14 persons are currently in the ICU at the Georgetown Public Hospital, 119 persons are in institutional isolation, and 843 persons are in approved home isolation. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow.